Mike Moore Media, the first place to hear Rockingham County news and information.
Our program is sponsored by Carpino Investments. On our media line, Jeff Garska, Economic Development Director for the city of Reidsville. Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
I'm good, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing just great. We're talking about one of my favorite topics, food. Let's jump right in.
Oh, man, it's definitely one of my favorite topics.
Uh-huh. Well, it's the time that spring and better weather and things are looking good with in a lot of different areas. So we're getting out and about more, and you're going to share with us some good dining experience around the city of Reidsville.
Yeah, so, we do a couple different media outreach efforts, one being this show citywide, and we also have a TV show that we've been producing through Star News, which has been a lot of fun, and just thought we'd talk about something different. I know we cover industry and downtown and Depot District things, and so we did a little, almost a little Anthony Bourdain-style cook's tour of some of the restaurants last week all throughout the city. Obviously downtown has a good core group of restaurants, and more will come once the theater and the microbrewery open, and then, you have the South Scale Street stretch of restaurants, a mixture of, Reidsville institutions and chains that are all successful, and the Freeway Drive will continue to blossom. So, we can go into all that.
Okay. Well, let's start downtown because some of my favorite, our favorite, my wife and I will, for both of us here, favorite places to dine are right there in Reidsville, downtown. Yeah,
we just go down the line. Sip Coffee's been a great addition. One of the first questions I had when I visited Reidsville for my job interview, I was driving around and I said, "Where's the coffee shop downtown? We need a coffee shop." And so we're just delighted that Lawrence and Phyllis took a chance on opening that shop, and it's just such a great place to hang out with great beverages. And then, of course, Cafe 99, Dave's been almost 25 years there.
Yeah.
Just a really cool, unique place. And if you've been there at lunchtime, it's always packed, and it's always packed with a lot of the same people, so it's a great place to fellowship with a lot of friends and colleagues. The food's always outstanding, and Dave, he does a huge part of his business, as you know, is catering, and with the slowdown in weddings and even things like funerals and graduations and stuff, he kind of had to scratch and claw to change his business model a little bit, start doing a little more takeout and things like that for lunches, but 24 Blackbirds, same thing, farm to table, lunch food, always a great experience. Of course, Celtic Fringe across the street, well known throughout the region. I hear, tales all the time. It's like, well, I went in for dinner. I was the only person from Reidsville in there. So you get outside money coming in, but Reidsville supports the restaurant too. It's again, a lot of the same people at lunchtime. Crave Nutrition, what a great addition to downtown, kind of on the fringe there of the downtown. Our milkshakes and smoothies and teas are out of this world, and she's opened 2 or 3 other locations since the one here, and it's just it's a neat little place. Get something kind of healthy, and Carolina Cafe, a Reidsville institution, meat and veggie breakfast, great place. Kelly's Kitchen, the bakery there on Scale Street. She's just one of the biggest Reidsville champions, Team Reidsville supporters, and outstanding bakery. You can't go in without buying something. But she's really good to participate with the city and the RDC and our downtown events. And then, who could forget the Hot Dog House? Just super unique place. And the fact that the city owns that property and rents it out to the proprietor at a rate at which they can be very successful, and they show up to all the downtown events and concerts and things. So just good partnerships with the city at all these really cool restaurants. And like I said, our hope is, once the Lucky City opens, which they'll have actually a restaurant in there. They're going to have a kitchen from some local restaurant. The theater gets rolling. I'm sure we'll continue to see more growth in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you've mentioned everywhere I've been, so I think we've covered it all. I'm thinking of one down up the street, and that's Mayberry. We haven't been there in a while, but that's a longtime favorite too.
It is. Yeah. There's I think one in High Point, Greensboro. It's kind of scattered about, but seems to be the one here. It's very historic. That is the place to go if you're feeling some ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go in there without a scoop or two. So yeah, another great place as you kind of travel down further south. You've got everything from, again, the old-time Reidsville restaurants like Pete's and PG's, the Sanitary Cafe, popular. I always talk about if you ever want to hear the real gossip in town, go sit and have breakfast at Sanitary, and all the old men are out there, gossiping about what's going on in the community.
Yeah.
The Reed House, President Obama visited the Reed House, had breakfast there or something like that, from what I recall, before my time. But Short Sugars, I understand it's the oldest continually operated restaurant in town, or at least at the same location. And you talk about, I get folks from out of town to come visit for various reasons, and they're like, I can't leave without Short Sugars. So it's well known. It's on the North Carolina Barbecue Trail. It's part of the Barbecue Society. Just a staple of this community and good community people. And I was fortunate. Governor McCrory was in town some number of years ago to announce the Unify project expansion, and he carved out an extra hour of his day with his folks and said, I can't come to Reidsville without Short Sugars. So,
wow.
Small group of management team folks got to take him to lunch, and he was mingling with the patrons and stuff. So we've got some well-known restaurants. But then you look at, McDonald's rebuilt into a beautiful restaurant. Biscuitville came in as one of their strongest stores when it opened. So you've got kind of a great mix of legends and the chains and the popular places as well. Yeah.
Well, you're mentioning, so many good places to eat and hang out there for a while, meet people. And they're all right there within, about a mile of each other when you're looking at that area?
Yeah, it's a close-knit cluster of restaurants. And you always worry, or some of the restaurateurs worry about competition, but I haven't been to any of them lately that weren't busy. They're all seem to be doing pretty well, and competition, all that means is you get to do something different every day as opposed to, the same place every day, which a lot of people do, and that's great. But, diversity is a good thing. I'd love to see more, an Italian restaurant, a Greek restaurant, a Thai food place, some other things that people ask me a lot about, it wouldn't it be great if we had a Thai restaurant? And, things like the theater will, incentivize some of that, kind of more eclectic, diverse food options that, I hear the criticism, well, Reidsville can never support another high-end restaurant or whatever, but, folks here still eat. And if they're not doing it here, they're going somewhere else to do it.
That's right, yeah.
We're real close to a couple communities with some great restaurants and a good dining scene. Greensboro and even Winston and Danville, Virginia's, got some good things. So there's room for some additional restaurant growth here in the city, though. Yeah. Okay.
Well, you mentioned some good ones for sure. We haven't even gotten out on Freeway Drive yet. Gosh, how many are out that way? Dozens.
I haven't counted. I know there's a number of pizza places on Pizza Row, as they call it, but all different. You got everything from a lunch buffet to some of the other places. The Elizabeth's Pizza is always busy. That's just so many, and that's the corridor. Really, is more of a traditional commercial strip, like many other cities. There's available land out there at reasonable prices. We have talked with a number of regional and even national restaurant. The challenge we have with a lot of them, and I meet with them when I go to these trade shows, is so many of them are franchisee driven, and it's not the company's job to find a franchisee. It's their job to qualify one, or if they've got somebody that already owns a couple of stores of that brand. But that's the challenge we have. We need local people to step up and take on the role of a franchisee and make a go of it. So that's one of the hindrances we have if it's not a corporate owned entity.
Yeah. Well, and there's so much unless someone has been involved in the food business, running a cafe, a restaurant. We don't have a clue what's involved. That's a tough business. So I commend everyone who has hung on there during the pandemic and kind of tweaked their business model to make it happen.
Yeah, it people tell you traditionally it's people get into the restaurant business and wish they never did sometimes, and it is a struggle at times. overhead costs are high. It's sometimes hard to find, good help. It's a tough business. So you're right. The margins aren't real high sometimes, and people do have a lot of choices. So competition does. It helps, but it also does take food away from some places occasionally because there's so many choices. But tough business. I do commend the restaurateurs who have stuck it out, especially during this time.
Definitely. Before we finish up, every community wants a Chick-fil-A or a Cracker Barrel, but gosh, there's so much involved in those people and those businesses locating anywhere, isn't there?
It is. All of these retail and restaurant companies and franchises have. They have at their booth at the trade show, they just have a little cut sheet that tells you exactly what they need, whether it's part of a strip center or a standalone building or what the required traffic counts are, daytime population within 3 miles, on all these different factors that you boil down for their criteria selection. And if you don't check most, if not all, the boxes, you're just not going to get attention at that point. So, if 785 opens up, the traffic count will be probably significantly higher. The casino helps. So things like that. We have about 25,000 cars a day passing, let's just say, the Barn Street exit. As Chick-fil-A they'll tell you they need 40 to 50,000 cars a day to even be considered.
Wow.
And they don't really go out on the highway. They're a freeway drive type fit, and we have nowhere near 40,000 cars a day on freeway. So it is a process. But the folks like the Zaxby's coming in and some other well-known places, their criteria is maybe not as robust, but we continue to chase those folks. We've talked with Chick-fil-A. We've talked to some of the others that people ask me about all the time, and obviously that's at the top of the list, but we'll get there one day.
Well, thank you for reminding us about all of these places that we do have in Reidsville now that maybe we haven't been in a while, and as we get out and about, we'll get back and enjoy them and the good food. Thank you for that report, that update.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a word to all the area citizens. Please do support our local restaurants. They're all very customer friendly, great food, great service, and couldn't be more happy with the folks who are running businesses here.
Sure, yeah. Jeff, always a pleasure. Thank you. I'm hungry. Let's go eat. Where are we going?
I'm ready. I'm ready. Thanks, Mike. Take care.
We'll make a date. Thank you, Jeff.
All
Have
right.
a good week. Bye.
Very good.
Jeff Garska, Economic Development Director for the City of Reidsville. Our program is sponsored by Carpino Investments, a leader of community redevelopment in the Carolina Piedmont region. You can get, Jeff mentioned a moment ago at the beginning, the Depot District that Carpino Investments is involved in Reidsville and doing some really positive things in the Eden community. Get more information at carpinoinvestments.com. And for more about what we're talking about, Jeff Garska, you can go to rocketinreidsville.com. And a reminder again, as Jeff just mentioned, please shop local, support our hometown merchants.